I just downed some Thin Mints like it's a 9 to 5. Hello everybody, I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, and I want to talk about Final Fantasy XIV and why I'm kind of optimistic about 7.2. I know there's a lot of negativity going around the game right now, but I've talked about this kind of phenomenon before, where I thought as more and more patches for Dawntrail came online, sentiment would slowly start to turn more positive, but we would run into this issue again if we have this same release cycle with 8.0 and 8.x. And while there will always still be an asterisk for me moving forward, I think when it comes to the story and the stuff we're doing in 7.2, are there issues? Yes, with the release timing. Having to still wait another 2 months for stuff like the Occult Crescent is a bit of a bummer. But when we get that content online, how will I look back at 7.2? That'll be an interesting question, because I think I'm gonna be rather pleased with this patch from the way things seemingly are falling, and I want to talk about why. For me, the big thing is tone. While there were elements of 7.0 and 7.1 that I did enjoy, such as the concept of Alexandria, I'm a big Final Fantasy IX fan. I enjoyed characters like Fiend, like Otis, and there was quite a bit of imagery in that latter half of the story that I really did appreciate, but there were giant swaths of the story that just didn't really land for me. Tone-wise, aesthetic-wise, and just in terms of like what we were doing there. I didn't find it to be particularly interesting or appeal to me, and what I want out of the game. But after seeing that trailer for 7.2, and after looking at the new and updated patch 7.2 website and reading the descriptions there, the tone of the game is seemingly shifting back to what I personally want out of Final Fantasy XIV, and I personally appreciate that. So I want to go into this website and just talk about these descriptions and why they line up with what I want. Let's talk about the new main story quests, and if you watch the trailer for 7.2, you'll know largely what I'm about to say. The tone is far more dark and existential in terms of its overall theme. It doesn't seem like a giant chunk of this story will be about like a train or some cows in Kona out in a field or whatever. That stuff I didn't particularly care about. The stuff I liked out of 7.1 was the stuff with Solution 9 and dealing with those ramifications of Fiend's death and learning to cope with death as a concept. 7.2 is seemingly leaning much into that side of things. The Queen of Reason has made a miraculous return and bears a message to her troubled subjects. Become endless and eternal life is yours. While such a promise may provide solace to some, others still fear the icy touch of death approaches. You have the great visuals of a place like Solution 9, but with the dark and macabre theme of these people learning what death is, trying to understand and wrap their heads around death, and possibly ultimately just trying to wholesale reject it as a concept. This was a theme that was heavily tackled back in Final Fantasy IX with a character like Vivi and all of the puppets. But this is what I love out of Final Fantasy XIV, particularly with its main story, when it tackles a larger-than-life, this existential theme, and really dives into that concept. Both the good and the bad. That's when I really love Final Fantasy XIV. Or when it's just being really dang cool for the sake of being cool. I didn't particularly get that out of a large part of Dawntrail up to this point. But 7.2 seemingly is shifting back to a focus on that side of things. Dealing with the questions of who is this Fiend? Who is this Fiend? Having those mysteries, having those question marks be tackled alongside these larger-than-life existential themes, that appeals to me greatly. That gets me interested in finding out what happens next. Not like the Rite of Succession back in 7.0, not like dealing with the train back in 7.1. That stuff takes me out of it. This is the stuff that makes me interested in Final Fantasy XIV, but I don't think Final Fantasy XIV is only a tale of the dark and the macabre. It's a balancing act between that and a whole host of aesthetics. I really enjoyed the first tier of the Arcadian. After having numerous raid series which were really dark and depressing and just epic in scope, I don't mind having the Arcadian just be this fun, wacky side excursion. I don't want all the raids to be like this going forward after the Arcadian or anything like that, but I don't mind in an expansion that is supposed to be a bit more lighthearted compared to what's seemingly coming after and what came before. I don't mind something like the Arcadian existing. And in terms of being a breath of fresh air, in terms of being a lighter tone, this is the style that appeals more to me than what we got out of the rest of Dawntrail that was trying to attempt that. this just like giant WWE wrestling gimmick fest, this tournament arc. It's fun, it's big, bombastic, and also just like mechanically fun, visually interesting, great music. I quite enjoy the Arcadian, so I'm looking forward to the next tier of it. But with 7.2, we're starting to get the other pieces of endgame content coming online, and they feel completely different to each other in terms of their overall tone, but in ways that again appeal to me. I really enjoyed Ishgard Restoration. It was a fun way to just play with my crafters and gatherers. I enjoyed the cosmic side of things when it came to Endwalk. It was one of my favorite components of that story. So having cosmic exploration seemingly taking those elements of Ishgard Restoration that I enjoyed, seemingly improving on them, but also dealing with the cosmic side of things, this appeals to me. Maybe it'll get a little bit old and a little bit grindy after a while, but like getting a new planet to come online with each patch, that's the cadence I want out of cosmic exploration. Same thing with the Occult Crescent. I really enjoyed Bosnia when it first came out. I am completely sick and tired of it now, though. Going back to do it when Dawnshell first came out to level up my Viper. I was tired of it, but I've done it so many times before. The Occult Crescent is new. I talked about it in a video a few days ago about certain design changes that seemingly appeal to me more with the Occult Crescent. More of a focus on multiplayer, playing with other people, having that just be the natural thing to do. But also, the description on the website for 7.2 when it concerns the Occult Crescent. Betwixt Eorzea and Tyrell lies Shade's Triangle, a wave-washed grave to untold souls. Join one legendary explorer and his intrepid crew as they chart a course for these fearsome waters and unravel the mystery that swirls therein. That right there is the vibe I wanted Dawnshell's main story with Poino to be. That's the vibe I was looking for out of a summer vacation exploration piece of content. That's what I'm looking for. I wanted the adventure, I wanted the journey, I wanted the focus to be on the mystery, not some like checklist of things to do like the Rite of Succession ended up becoming. This is what I really wanted when it came to that like Indiana Jones style adventure. Does it suck we have to wait till like May for this content to come online, and late May at that? Yes, absolutely. I don't want to dwell on that particularly because like it's not going to release any early at this point. Going forward though, if we get more content like this in the future, in like 8.0 and 8.x and stuff like that, I would advise Square Enix try to get this content way online earlier, like in the 0.1 if not before that patch. But like when this content is here, seemingly looks pretty dang good. And just in terms of overall tone and aesthetic and the story premise going on right here, this appeals to that sense of adventure and that summertime like break feeling I wanted out of Dawnshell. This is where I think Final Fantasy XIV is at its strongest. It's when it's tackling these different feels, these different tones, and giving you a variety of experiences all at once that build up on what came before. Final Fantasy XIV is at its best when you have a wide variety of things to do, and you want to do them. The new child being based on Beatrix from Final Fantasy IX, she was one of my favorite characters. I'm all over that. The new dungeon, the Underkeep. Like, yeah, it's a dungeon, but well, I'm not expecting the moon when it comes to the actual gameplay here for the Underkeep. One, it's a giant FF9 reference, but also, peep the description for the Underkeep on the website. In the waning days of the Old Kingdom. Mind you, again, part of the MSQ. The people of Alexandria sought a way to survive as their home sank into the earth below. They built a towering structure that enveloped the royal castle itself, and as the moons came and went, Everkeep grew to soaring heights. Yet some say that the castle has withstood the ravages of time and stands even now in the city's foundation as a symbol of bygone glory. That just sounds cool. This is the tone I want out of the story. Or at least one of the types of tones. The big, the bombastic, the magical. I want Final Fantasy XIV to feel magical. This sounds good. This sounds appealing. I want to learn more about the Underkeep. It sounds like it'll be more than just a Final Fantasy IX reference, which is kind of what Dawnshell has been in my opinion as well. It's just up to now it has been severely hit or miss. But with 7.2, these seemingly, so long as they're well executed, feel as if they're going in the right direction. And like, I'm sorry, but the new trial well, I know I just talked about this, looks dang cool. Robotic cyborg Beatrix with giant rose attacks? Yes, dude. When it concerns the Occult Crescent, that's where we're going to get the phantom weapons. We don't have to do Occult Crescent to level up phantom weapons, which is our new relics, but like, come on. But again, peep the description here and tell me if this sounds more like a summertime adventure to ruins and to find out mysteries of the unknown. Harried by circumstances financial and otherwise, Eorzea's finest weaponsmith finds himself on a treacherous journey bound for seas unknown. Yet amidst the peril is an opportunity to achieve a new pinnacle of weapon fabrication, harnessing arcane powers as potent as they are illusory. Yes! That sounds cool. It's a freaking relic weapon. That sounds cool, dude. Will that be enough to carry them? No, they'll have to be, like, you know, visually cool and great. But, like, 7.2 is the patch I've been waiting for from Final Fantasy XIV. And I'm getting new Hildebrand. Like, this appeals to me top to bottom here. Is the release of it a little bit wonky? Yeah, sure. Is it ideal that we're waiting until, like, May, and late May at that, like May 27th or something, for Occult Crescent? It's not ideal, right? Absolutely. When we get this content online, though, like, I can wait. Personally, that's not that big of an issue for me. I can wait. But, like, from top to bottom, I'm looking forward to every component of 7.2. It appeals to me. I want to sink my teeth into it. That's a heck of a lot more than I can say for 7.1 and the endgame of 7.0. I'm interested in Final Fantasy XIV. I'm excited to play this new content. Is it guaranteed to be excellent or top tier? No, we still have to wait for it to actually come out and then make an accurate judgment then. But the vibes are better. That to me was the biggest question mark going into the remaining patches of Dawntrail for me. Do the vibes get better for me, or do they remain what they kind of were with 7.0 and 7.1? Granted, there were still elements that I liked there, it was just really hit or miss for me. This seemingly is far more hit. That appeals to me more. Not the gear sets, I'm actually not that big of a fan of the gear sets. I know there are a lot of references, but just like, alright. Cool that Rothka can actually wear helmets though, that's kind of cool. Shout out to them. But yeah. I think with that, I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure making the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Leave a comment down below with your thoughts, your opinions going into 7.2. Do you feel the same way as me? Are you still really hesitant? And why is that? And here's the big thing. If you are still really hesitant, what is it that they could do to recoup some of that optimism you may have lost over the years or over Dawntrail? I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and hear your perspectives. And if you're still really vibing with Dawntrail, I'd love to hear why. What about it really appeals to you? I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your opinions, and hear your perspectives. Stay safe, have a great day, go play some video games, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again.